So live stream is going. So is the recording. Go ahead.
Super. All right, this is the February meeting of the Bylaws and Ethics Committee for Bronx Community Board 11. Today is Monday, February 9th. Call the meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. Start with introductions. I am Ryan Barthel, Committee Chair.
Veronica Castro, Committee Member.
Lisa Balala, Committee member.
Jeanette Wilson, co-chair.
And the chair of the board is driving, so we'll let her focus on that. Review of the meeting minutes. I don't think we have anything to discuss there. The live stream should be posted on our YouTube channel. So we're going to jump into, we have a couple of complaints. We have one complaint that I don't believe was fully resolved. Can we bring that up? It's not linked. No, we would have. I've never done an ethics complaint before, so someone else walk me through this.
So, Jeanette, correct me if I'm wrong. We should have it linked to the agenda, but it's not. So where would we pull it up from?
That may be a Jeremy question. When a complaint comes in, it's normally given a number and filed, and it's usually sent to all the board members.
That's it. So it's not usually linked. It's usually sent to the committee members.
And then
Yes.
So do we want to push this back for, sorry, Ryan, do you want to push this back for next month then, or do you want me to? I don't know.
I don't remember the process, and I know Jeanette, you probably are.
If I can just share some information. So from what I've seen of this complaint, it was filed many months ago. There was an incident that I believe that the chair resolved at that time. And I think there was another incident where the chair again resolved it, but it wasn't, the individual did not have an opportunity to come and have it discussed, or have the person he made the complaint again come and respond. I think possibly because of the lapse of time, what may be, and Veronica, I'm going to defer to your tenure, but I think what might be appropriate under the circumstance is to reach out to the individual who made the complaint and ask if he would like to proceed or if he would like to resubmit. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably the best way to approach it at this point.
That's fine by me. For a logistics question, that's normally we receive it and then both sides come and talk about it, or do we talk about?
So once you receive it, the board reviews it. If we deem it to be an actionable complaint, then we reach out to both parties and let them know they have an opportunity to respond and to be present at a public hearing that we then schedule.
Okay, so in lieu of us discussing
Yes.
the complaint and whether we're going to take it up, we'll ask
Right.
the complainant if they would like to resubmit.
And usually we would have them come to the next Bylaws and Ethics Committee, and that's where they would have their time to speak.
Okay. All right, we'll make a motion on that at the end. Anything else on this?
No.
All right. Okay, next we're going to have the bylaw amendments. I am going to read what we received. This comes out of the motion last spring to restrict someone's speaking rights for a period of time. And as a result of that, there were some folks looking at our code of conduct, and our code of conduct has some, actually, if we could pull that up, that would probably be helpful. What am I saying? It's on the thing.
If I could pull it up here too.
Yeah, wherever it is. It has some language in there that is a little bit squishy, probably doesn't belong, is non-specific. And also some language that would if we were to try and enforce it, would run counter to free speech, First Amendment rights. So the city law department had some back and forth with, I believe, the DM and the chair, and they had some recommendations, and I'm gonna pull those up in just a second. Okay, so specifically, they're looking at,
Should I share it with everyone so they can see it?
yes, please share that. Okay, so looking at, they're not numbered, it looks like it's fifth from the bottom, engaging in acts of violence, including threats or ground for immediate suspension of the right to attend meetings pending review. Number one, they need to change the name of the committee to reflect what the committee's name actually is. But also the First Amendment language around threats is true threats expressing a serious intent to commit violence. So that's the language that they suggested. True threats is, as I understand it, the
So it's only violence. If there are
It-
threats.
you know, I mean, I'm not a constitutional scholar. There are people who spend their whole lives doing this, but my understanding of it, limited as it may be, is the threat has to pose an imminent danger of harm. So it's,
So they can't just say it, they have to,
yeah,
has to be like, almost like they're gonna hit you or something like that.
yeah, like it has to be, yeah, it goes to, if I say I'm gonna burn your house down, that's probably not in there. If I say I'm going to burn your house down tomorrow night with a can of gas or whatever, like what,
It's
it's,
this can of gas and this match,
yeah,
that might
there's,
be a threat.
yeah, which, luckily we haven't gotten to that. As far as I know, certainly hope that doesn't ever get there, but, you know, I mean,
I, for one, don't think,
Has that ever happened? I'm
yeah,
relatively new. Has that ever happened?
no, I mean, I don't think we've ever had anyone right in our face.
yeah. I'm not mine.
But,
This is more just cleaning up the language, this one.
yeah,
So, and this hasn't been presented to the full board yet, so that's part of why, you know, we're certainly discussing it now to see how we feel about it. But we'll submit one for the February meeting to be presented to the full board and then vote on it in March, I suppose.
yeah, I don't 100% agree with that, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one
Hey,
is,
can we just back, I'm sorry, should I
Yeah.
raise my hand?
Go ahead, it's fine, you're part of the committee.
Okay, so what I did, I think just for my clarity, I pulled up the dictionary definition of threat. It's a statement of intention to inflict pain, injury, damage, or other hostile action on someone in retribution for something done or not done. Can we use that?
well, they did provide some suggested language, the law department did. And it's not, I don't think that I don't think that the dictionary definition or the legal definition, or even what we have in there now, I don't think that there's a lot of light between any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So my preference would be to go with what the law department suggested, since they are expert, certainly quite a bit more expert than I am in what language might be permissible in this context.
Can you restate what the law department suggested?
They strike the parenthetical to make it engaging in acts of violence or true threats expressing a serious intent to commit violence, and then the rest.
Okay.
Their next one is to strike the third from the bottom, refrain from unpleasant or disparaging remarks or other actions. And that one I think is pretty clearly anti-First Amendment. I would rather we not have those, but then what counts as unpleasant, what counts as disparaging, it's subjective and, you know, it would be hard to enforce if we wanted to, but we wouldn't be allowed to anyway.
Could we possibly, because some of our meetings are quite disruptive because of the disparaging and other natures of, in an actual orderly meeting, there's no cross talking and there's only one mic. So perhaps we can put in that type of language, because whether it's people at the table doing their reports or it's someone from the gallery speaking, when there is an abundance of cross talking and comments just like over talking the speakers, it just causes disruption.
I
So
think,
instead of saying what you shouldn't do, maybe specify what you should, which is one speaker at a time.
well, as far as disruptive or interfering behavior, I think point one kind of captures that. Any action or
Yeah.
behavior that disrupts or interferes with community board 11 business will not be tolerated during any community board 11 meeting and may result and so on. So I think we could get rid of this line because I think it kind of is captured in point one, so I'm okay with getting rid of that line. As far as what Jeanette's saying about cross-talking, I don't know if we want to put that in our code of conduct. If so, how would you state it, Jeanette?
Well, if I may, before we get there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm of two minds on. No, don't worry about it. It's not important. On the one hand, it is already in our bylaws a little bit obliquely. It's in we say that we're going to follow Robert's Rules of Order, and that is a part of those rules, that there's one speaker, you are recognized to speak, there's no crosstalk. So in one sense, it already is in the bylaws. In another sense, I agree that it would be nice to have it here and in
If we
front
put
of.
it in the code of conduct, it simply reinforces it.
Right, it's in front of somebody every time.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is we really need to have people enforce that. Right, that's the hard part, is the enforcement. You know, we can say, oh, so I don't think well, I can ask Jeremy to put that to the law department and see what they
Okay.
say.
Okay.
I think there would be a problem with that, though, right? That's how we want our meetings to be run. I think that's all right.
I have a question about the second one. Repeated violations by the same person or group of people may result in further action by the community board. I think we need to have specific language for that, because what's repeated? Is it 2 times? Is it 8 times? And then what are the steps in terms of action by the community board? I think if we have it written down, it makes things not personal. It makes it in black and white, and these are the rules. If you are given a verbal warning about behavior, that's number one. That's the first time. Second time, I don't know, written up, or just kind of have it written out of what will happen if there's repeated violations.
So
What are your feelings?
but I've had similar thoughts. I mean, I was part of what drove the stuff a year ago. Is there's a pattern of things happening, and I don't know what are we going to do? What can we do? I think that getting specific with it also invites commentary on it, I guess. But really, the hope, I think, is that you never have the hope of this document is that you never have to use it.
Right.
And I'll say that things have been much more peaceful this year. I think that, yeah, I think that by saying, we will do something that I think that's helped. I might be wrong, but it seems like it has in my experience. So
I also think that we have to be careful what list, unless we've already cleared it by the law firm, the law department, because we don't know if what we put on there, if we do it like tonight, say we decided something, what would be actually
Right,
allowed. So I think that if we could put something together.
maybe
like
something,
after
some
we
kind of
talk to
happy
you.
medium, some specific, but as opposed to just further action. What do you think?
Don't worry,
Okay.
it's a pen cap, it's okay,
Okay.
we'll find it afterwards. But yeah. We can look at, like, put something together and then have a review.
Mhm.
Was there anything else that they?
the last one is disseminating false information is prohibited. They said you can always correct the record if you feel that something is incorrect, but that's again something, saying the sky is green. We would mostly say that's false, but it's
Can be subjective.
it can be, there are cases where it can be subjective, a lot of ways of looking at things that are different from person to person, so they recommend striking that. And instead focusing on correcting the record where we feel that there's been a mistake.
Okay.
Jeanette?
I think that what I believe is that when you're talking about disseminating false information, what you're talking about is proven, documented facts. And yes, the board can rebut and show where the statements are false. We're not talking about perspectives or opinions or preferences. We're talking about verified, documented facts. That's how I interpret disseminating false information. It's not anything other than what is proven, documented, and verified.
I mean, that's how
And if the burden has to be on the board to, take the time to clarify things, we certainly can do that.
Yeah, I that's how I take it as well, but it's also, I mean, you're allowed to lie. So, we can't enforce a prohibition on disseminating false information. As a government agency or arm of the government in some way, we can't legally stop people from saying false things. But we can say, no, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And here is why. Here is the documentation for that.
Okay.
Those three were their recommendations, and like I said, we'll present them at the full board in a couple of weeks.
So I have to stop sharing, right?
Yep. All right, and then we also had some bylaw amendments proposed by a board member. Deal with them when we get to the gallery, I think.
Okay.
You may want to check the chat.
We just were, yeah.
Yep.
We see what, okay.
Okay, so the other bylaw amendment is in response to our challenges and getting quorum in a lot of cases. So the proposal is to make a stricter attendance policy. So they're asking for excused absence to be approved. Their recommendation is by the board chair. I think that might put an undue burden on the board chair. She can obviously speak for herself, but if it were me, I would say that's probably a little much. And then, excuse me, to limit the number of remote meetings where you don't have, I don't remember the language around being counted for quorum, but
Yeah, they have to have
an accommodation.
special
Yeah.
accommodation need to be, so whether medical or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's privy to the board chair and usually the DM. It doesn't have, like, the whole board doesn't need to know what the reason is, as long as the chair and the DM are advised and the chair approves, it's fine.
So this attendance policy proposes to limit the number of remote meeting allowances where you can count as not being absent, otherwise you'll be marked absent. if
I
you-
agree with that.
I think also the intent was to limit remote. There are some people who have made it a habit of only joining remotely. In some cases, I'm aware of it, certain circumstances, whatever, but it does affect quorum. And once again, we're back at the Committee on Open Government. What are and this is why I mentioned it, I believe it was at the last meeting, is because we do have some board members who have become habitual online attendees and minimal in-person attendance.
I agree with it in principle. I just wonder, are we going to start kicking people off the board? Ultimately, that's what the attendance, that policy does have teeth and we have used it. Like I want people.
If I may say something, I realize I am remote today, and I am going to tell you that for me personally, it's a much better experience when I'm able to be there in person, because I feel it's just more interactive and productive for me. I believe that there are many different issues with doing hybrid meetings. I know that when I have to do them here at my co-op, we wind up having to have extra meetings because of either technical issues or because people are remote, they're a bit more distracted. I think it makes sense, if we're not strictly a virtual committee, that hybrid meetings cause challenges, and I think that it's great to have the option of remote when necessary, but it shouldn't be something that should be just arbitrarily chosen because it's more convenient not to attend in person. That's just my opinion.
And I agree, because we right now are required to have a quorum in person, with the few exceptions of people that will be considered quorum online for whatever reasons. But there are those who don't have those reasons, who just show up online, and that unfortunately inhibits us from having some meetings because we don't make quorum. Unless that is changed by the city, then we need to make sure that we have everybody here who needs to be here in person as much as we can. And if you're online all the time, and then somebody who's in person all the time needs to be online because maybe they're going away or they have a family issue, now they go online and now there's no quorum, and that's not fair. So I think we need to be a little bit more responsible with how we do online meetings for the board. For the gallery, that's totally fine. That's what the convenience is of the hybrid, is mostly for the gallery. So that way they don't have to necessarily come in if they have an issue. But for board members, we need to start coming in more often when available.
So by putting this in the bylaws, then we're saying that, right, because so many excused absences in a year is you're eligible to be kicked off the board. Not
Right.
necessarily going to be, but then are we
Right, so if we go by
maybe
the,
I'm looking too many steps down the road, but
Yeah,
are we?
when you reach a certain amount, depending on the full board and the committee level absences, then you're up for review by the full board. And then either you can tell people why, you could put a letter together saying why, or you get recommended further up to the BP's office for removal from the board. We can't actively remove anyone, but we can make a recommendation to the board, to the BP's office saying, this is why we think they should be removed from the board. So that's, and Cynthia, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are basically the steps, right?
Sort of, although just to correct the record, we do have the power to kick somebody off or
Oh, see, I
ask
didn't know
for,
that.
you know, yeah, yeah. I mean, it would be a process and whatever. It would have to be a full board vote and whatever. But yeah, we do have that power.
Okay. I always thought it had to be recommended up to the BP's office, but okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, like I want to encourage people to show up to the meetings. And I don't know what the carrot is. I don't want to be using the stick all the time, but
Unfortunately, when you sign up to go on the community board, there really is no carrot or anything.
yeah.
What the return for it is helping the
Coffee is
community.
not enough.
Yeah, I mean, just being part to help the communities, basically why you sign up, but
Yeah.
I can't think of a reward or anything that we shouldn't really have to give a reward to people.
I know you should. You have to put together the application to be here.
Right,
I understand. It's hard sometimes
yeah,
to if you have young children or you work.
but yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah. So
Everybody has a
so
life outside of here.
And just to piggyback off Veronica's point about caregivers, believe it or not, being a caregiver, you know, that does not qualify you to count towards quorum remotely. Um, you know, I'm a caregiver. You know, we have other board members who have senior parents or young children or whatever the case may be. And those are responsibilities that we have, and you know, it's a reality of life. But unfortunately, like you said, Veronica, if we apply to be on the board, then it's an additional responsibility that we're taking on despite our caregiving responsibilities. So
Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah, it was recommended to us. I'll double check with the person, make sure, maybe pass them along this conversation, see if they want to continue with it and put it on to be presented to the full board in February, and then we'll move from there. But yeah, I agree fully that if you sign up to be here, you should be here. But I don't know what I'm hesitant to go and take the step of starting to kick people off. Someone said, do you want to be the board that kicks people off? And
right.
but then again, we also need people to show up, otherwise we can't have a meeting. So
Right.
it's
And just, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna get kicked off. They mean they'll go up for review. And then if they, you know, then it can be decided then. It's not an automatic kickoff, but still, even, I think we've been a little lax in the whole absence to begin with, period. And we need to start, there was a time where we used to really act on it. If they had those many absences, we reached out to them, they had to give us a reason, it got reviewed. And I think we need to start doing that again.
makes sense.
Cynthia, to go back to point 1, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it. Excused absences must be approved by the chair. How do you feel about that? Do you think that'll be a little bit more work that you really don't need at the moment, or?
You know, I struggle with that one because on the one hand, I understand my responsibility, and should there be another chair, you know, at some point in time, it'll be a responsibility on that person. And I honestly don't wish that on anyone because who am I to make that judgment whether your excuse is valid or not valid, you know? So I agree with what Ryan said about it being a little what did you say, Ryan? You didn't say untenable, but
I don't know. I mean, it's too much.
Onerous
There you
maybe?
go. That was the word.
I was gonna ask, how would you determine whether or not what they're telling you is actually true or not? They could tell you anything they want they think is gonna get your approval and be going over to a friend's house to play checkers.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter. I don't know if you want that responsibility.
Right. That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is again so maybe going back to your point, following up on absences, it's not just following up on all remote meetings or unexcused absences, it should also be on excused absences. Like if
Yeah.
this is too much for you, maybe this is not the right place.
Right.
You know, but I think the follow-up is important, whether it be from a committee chair, the chair, or yeah, whoever, but yeah, I think the follow-up is
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I don't think we should put that number one. In my opinion, shouldn't be put on Cynthia to have to make that determination if their excuse is valid or approved.
All right, any more on the attendance policy? Any more comments?
I don't have anything else.
All right, so we're gonna for just a moment to the social media censorship complaint. I see that the complainant is on, and before we get into it, I don't know when they joined, but I want to point out that what we determined to do was if Mr. Ramos, if you would like to continue with this, or if you would like to do this complaint, we would like you to resubmit it. I know that you already submitted it. We would like you to resubmit.
Should I allow him or ask him to unmute so we?
We'll get there.
Okay.
And then, let's see. My understanding, I'd like either Jeremy or Cynthia to explain what has been done to rectify what happened, right? Because there was a problem and the chair and or DM, I don't remember, I don't know the series of events, but something has been done to make sure that this shouldn't happen again in the future. So I'd like to hear about that first, and then we'll talk about if it's going to be resubmitted.
Jeremy, you have your hand raised.
I mean, I'll defer to Cynthia unless she wants me to start.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, long story short, Cynthia announced this at a board meeting, and right now the only people who have access to at least our Facebook page. I think this is where this originated. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Instagram.
It was Instagram.
Okay. So right now, Instagram might be a bit of a problem. I don't know if we rectified that one. Facebook, I rectified. Right now, it's just Cynthia and me who have control of Facebook. I don't know if that actually. Yeah, I don't remember about Instagram because I'm not a big Instagram person.
So my recollection was that when this happened over the summer, the Instagram was linked to a particular Gmail account that was like bxcb11@gmail, for example, right? And when I asked for the password to that email, the person reached out to you because they didn't want to give me the password to that email because they had created that email account. And so I think what you did was somehow you were able to link it to a different email or the community board.
That's right.
I think that's what you ended up doing. So my understanding is that the only people that are admins on either one of the pages should only be you and me. I
Yeah,
can
gotta confirm
try to.
Instagram because it's been a while.
Okay.
It's just been so long. I know Facebook was something we dealt with more recently.
So
So I'll confirm that.
So okay. So yeah, so basically I was gonna use Jeremy's language. So basically what happened over the summer is this member of the public was blocked from our Instagram. They notified me and I unblocked them, and minutes later they were reblocked. And when they notified me that they had been reblocked, I tried to go back in to unblock them, except the password had been changed by someone else. And when I reached out, I was given a hard time to gain access to the Instagram, and that's where Jeremy got involved. We had to show this person proof that it was the official page with the copy of the motion from whatever year that was, etc. And so as a result, I asked Jeremy to remove everyone from our social media accounts, minus Jeremy, myself, and I believe I even told Jeremy that the staff I'm okay with because their office staff, but I didn't think anyone else, at least until we out, should be on our social media pages.
Okay, so from that point of view, the person who did the blocking no longer has access, and Jeremy and Cynthia are both aware that they have a responsibility to allow people to talk. So with that in mind, let's move to the gallery session, and I'll open it up to Mr. Ramos first to tell us if you would like to resubmit, and then if you would like to speak for your 2 minutes, you may have your 2 minutes after that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I believe this was an agenda, so it shouldn't be a gallery item with a 2-minute timer. Thank you, Jeremy and Miss Cynthia, but nobody from the board reached out to me, and this was on the agenda tonight, so I don't really have my exact complaint. There's been a couple complaints because over the years, this board has constantly blocked me, which is illegal, highly illegal for a government account to do. And I've been trying to get behind this. I don't know who it is. Notice how no name was named, just a person. From the first instance when I did a FOIA request from information on this board handed to me directly from Jeremy, I posted it on what was then the official Facebook page titled Citizens of CB11 or something. I was instantly blocked. I have video of 2 former members talking about me at a meeting saying I need to be banned and blocked from what I did on the Facebook page when all I shared was information Jeremy directly handed to me in PDF form to my viewers about what I believed was a conflict of interest with the old chair Bernadette Ferrara. From then on, I've been blocked from the Facebook page. It was then voted to be decertified as an official page, which from everything I've heard from the city should have been deleted at that instant. But now went back to the original member who made the page and it's like her personal account. I don't understand how that happened. Since then, I constantly keep getting blocked on the Instagram. I don't understand who has the power to block a private citizen sharing. We have the right to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of press, the right to redress our government of grievances, which is to complain. For some American history, this country was founded on a letter to the king that we are not paying taxes. We used to throw tea in harbors to boycott the taxes on the tea. So why can't I throw tea on Instagram on all of you guys with public information handed to me through viable sources directly from the district manager? So I don't understand why this board can block. And it's not only me. There's other resources. I want to say, Mr. Christian Amato, a former member, has been blocked. Roxanne Delgado, you guys did a whole motion and censored her. Mr. Robert Press, there's a pattern here of the board not liking the information or what's being talked about publicly and using the platform they have access to silence and censor it. At the time my FOIA went out, one of the board members was running for office. So of course she would not want all the conflicts of interest where she's using her former Van Nest Association to connections to email on a government community board business, not separating the two. Okay, well, I'm not resubmitting. You guys are a complete scam. Stop messing with our rights before I sue you. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving.
Just for the record, Mr. Ramos has decided not to resubmit his complaint, so that will come off the agenda.
This has been years. I don't even know which complaint it is. You guys have like 6 complaints about blocking me.
Okay, let's see. Diana and Camellia, I saw you on first. Would either of you like to speak in gallery?
Sure, it's Diana. I'll speak. The one question I have from what AJ Ramos just said was the question about being blocked on the Citizens of Community Board 11 Facebook group, because that does remain an ongoing issue. Like, I don't know if they actually block people any longer, but I know that in my experience, many times I've submitted posts that are just never approved. And there's no reason given why they're not approved. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing objectionable about the post. And I think just the confusion over, is this a group that's really directly connected to the board or is it not? Because it says it's administered by a board member for the edification of the board in the about description. And this has been going on for quite a long time. And I think it really should be cleared up. Thank you for
So
considering.
yeah, Diana, the only information I can give in that regard is that the citizens page, up until it was, I guess, decertified and became, reverted back to a private board member's page. Most of the other board, there were several other board members as admins there, and we were all removed from that page as admins. So, I don't even know who the admins are at this point, but yeah, that's their page, private page. It's not an official page. If there's some sort of, disclaimer or about information that kind of ties it to the board, we can have a conversation with that board member and ask them to, adjust it accordingly.
Yes, I think that you really should,
Um,
because it's very confusing.
yeah.
Because it says it's administered by a board member and it says it's for, information for board members. That's the purpose of the page.
All
Or the
right.
group.
We can have a conversation with them about that.
Thank you.
Is there anywhere that our official pages, like I'm looking at the website, I don't see it on there. It might be of value to put that on our webpage so that to at least limit that confusion.
I'll look and see if there's something that that explicitly clarifies that it's the only official
Yeah.
page of the community board. I can do that.
Okay. Mr. Press.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had problems trying to dial in from my phone. The number was wrong, I was told by WebEx. So have you gone to the second part about if you missed two, or if you're on two visual meetings, any third or more will be counted as absences?
Yes, we did discuss that, and
You did, okay. Because
of that in principle.
I want to know if the board or any member on the board has read the new borough president's board membership thing, where it says each community board has a monthly meeting which you are required to attend, whether virtually or in person. In addition, there are various hearings, committee meetings, land use meetings, and trainings that require your virtual and or in-person attendance. If appointed, do you commit to attending these meetings? It does not say that you have to be there in person. She is saying that you can be there virtually. So I don't know how this board can usurp the borough president's authority. That's all.
So the clarification about that, it's a concern about quorum. We're having trouble getting quorum. Folk during the discussion, we had some talk of there are some board members who I can think of one who I've never seen in person. I know that they show up to meetings virtually most of the time, but I've never seen them in person. And it's not just one, there are several who are like that. And they don't count toward quorum. State law says that you have to have an in-person quorum for a meeting to be counted. So my guess is that the borough president's guidance or the requirement to attend in person or virtually. I remember some boards like 10 don't do virtual meetings at all, is to allow for the fact that there are accommodations for some people to show up virtually and be counted for quorum. So my guess is that's the reason for that language, but we are allowed to set our attendance policy. That is part of our bylaws, part of our authority, limited though it may be.
The governor was supposed to pass the bill that said all community board members had to be in person. But obviously it's an election year, so that isn't gonna pan out. But I mean, you guys run your board the way you wanna. There are other boards who don't have virtual meetings, and everybody should be in person at these meetings. And also, Mr. Barthel, Chairman Barthel, I'll say, that I had to request the attendance sheets. I had to foil them from last year because there were 7 members that should have been removed from this board because of absences. And that never happened. And the borough president's representative said that we will be looking at attendance when we reappoint people. And that was last year. And that never happened either because that was an election year for the borough president. So let's keep politics out of this. And let's go by the rules, okay? Thank you.
Mr. Ramos said in the chat that he spoke originally about the complaint, but he now has a gallery item about the suggested edits. I leave it up to your discretion if you wanna.
So there's a clarification, and it obviously wasn't clear before. I'll give you another minute, Mr. Ramos, but the idea there was the reason that this was on the agenda was for the committee to discuss and decide if we're going to take it up. That's our process. We get a complaint. Anyone can file a complaint about anything. We discuss it and decide if we're going to take it up. And that was what this agenda item was for, not for you and the respondent to be here and state your case. But since you were unclear on that, I'll give you another minute for the bylaw amendments, if you'd like.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, I just wanted to talk about the code of conduct edits. On camera versus in person, I prefer everybody be in person. We don't know if you're being held like gunpoint or in a hostage situation, being forced to vote. So in person, we can at least see you guys, so we know we don't have that worry. And then the physical violence. There's a video out by, I want to say his name is Michael Case, Kaess, from the Just Homes public hearing, where board members are actually like grabbing his camera, which is physical assault. You're touching his extension of his body and condoning violence against him. So to have the reminder there that it is like a threat of physical violence, because it's usually the board members that break the code of conduct. Also, I was told by the borough president's office that the public doesn't necessarily swear to the code of conduct like board members do. So I really like how you guys will put the actual threats of physical violence in there, because 11 has a history of attacking people. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Is there anything else? The only person who hasn't spoken was
Camellia.
Camellia. Yeah.
Yes, hi, good evening. There were multiple points kind of that I wanted to make, but just if helpful here, the issue of people speaking over each other, that's very easily a reference to Robert's rules of order, because it's actually the chair that says this person has the floor. So then that's it. And whomever speaks over obviously is disrespecting the meeting, but it's always the chair saying, do I, and if somebody's not sure, is like, do I have the floor? And the chair decides who has the floor, and that's it. And then it's up to individual board members attending not to kind of get into the back and forth. And this is why, at the main board meeting, there are rules, and you can speak X amount of minutes, and just chairs do reports. And this is why when the board meeting is not properly run, like we had a situation when Cynthia was absent. I think it was November meeting probably, when it kind of became a little bit chaotic and all that. But that's again with the who has the floor. It's a very clear choice and specific direction from the chair of the meeting, any meeting, both committee and full board. The issue with in person, just to share if helpful how CBA does it, actually at the beginning of, so nobody is allowed to be online unless explicitly excused. And what happens is at the beginning of the year, for example, there are people with very serious medical problems that whose presence in person would sort of jeopardize their medical situation. And then there are pre-approved excuses for those people directly from the board chair in a kind of confidential communication, to put it that way. It's not like if I feel like, or if somebody knows, they will be in recovery after a surgery, or like very clear situations, right? So then it becomes much more better documented and kind of easy to control in advance, sort of say. So that's, you may consider something along those lines, because you're right, it's very unfair for somebody to be comfortable in their home. Oh, sorry. Finally, just my final point. I apologize. Final point. You guys, I mean, again, you are a formal body of the city of the New York who is not issuing formal minutes, and formal minutes in writing and not audio recordings are the legal standard according to the Committee on Open Government. Both Cynthia and Jeremy were copied in communications for Committee on Open Government, said that clearly, without a trace of a doubt, and audio recordings are permissible only for a purpose of posting to the public, but they do not constitute legal documents. I think this is a major case of CB11 being in blatant non-compliance, not only with open meetings law, but also with
Okay,
your
yeah,
own
that's-
bylaws. Done. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. No motions. Anyone have any old business?
No,
New business?
no.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Time is 8:01. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a good night and stay warm and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good night. Thank you.